China struck a huge blow against the US military, and it might be wildly successful. The military-industrial complex isn't immune to this trade war because it heavily relies on rare earth minerals to power all of its high-tech weaponry, along with cars, semiconductors, and aerospace industries. But the semiconductor thing is very important. Semiconductors are in anything that's a smart device, and it's also in any high-grade military weaponry. And it's not just the United States that's being denied rare earth minerals, it's going to be a host of other countries, some which make key semiconductors, which rely on the usage of those rare earths. This isn't just limiting access to raw rare earths, which are just dug out of the ground, it is access to refined rare earths, and China has about 90 to 85% capacity for that. Now, I have made several posts about the United States gaining rare earth independence from China because we have been finding rare earth deposits all over the north and southwest. And we were trending in an incredible direction. We just needed to start getting our refining capacity up before we began to eliminate China as such a monumental source. This would have taken several years to accomplish, and we easily could have done it. Just imagine making the most advanced bridge that's 2 miles long and then stopping construction at 20 feet. How useful and effective will that bridge be? Right now, the US military still has the most advanced weaponry, and we can easily defeat any opponent, but that can only continue in the long term if we get access to all of the resources that we need, and it looks like we may not. If this actually happens, and the US starts losing its access to refined rare earths, and if we can't get our production and refining up in time, then we start to lose the tech war, especially the military tech war. Right now, the bulk of Chinese advanced weaponry is just copies of European, American, and Russian tech. Since America imports the most brilliant minds on the planet, we can keep innovating ahead of whatever these guys copy. But it will slow down just because we won't have the resources we need to implement the actual advancements. The question is, how long will it take China to keep copying their way to being almost at our equal when it comes to this technology? Not to mention, China has already made it clear that they are putting absolutely no restraints on stealing our IP and patents. They've been doing it for a long time, but from what I've been reading, they were actually holding back just a little for the sake of diplomacy. Now, America's economy is very agile. We can adapt to a lot, but once we start losing our supremacy, or our supremacy starts dropping even by a little bit, that agility drops. China's economy may not be as agile as ours, but they are definitely a more disciplined people, and they can endure economic hardship much more than the majority of Americans. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of tough Americans who live out in the boonies. They're fine. Even the people who've just grown up poor their whole life, they can endure this because they've always been poor. But the Americans who've enjoyed the lower middle class, upper middle class, they're going to start to see a lot of disruptions into their quality of life if this continues. The United States relies on its military dominance and ability to deploy personnel anywhere in the world easily as a deterrent to keep certain territories from being taken over. It's what keeps NATO such a cohesive threat. It's also what keeps China from taking over Taiwan. It also curtails most of the world's piracy. So this escalating trade war, limiting China's economy, and keeping America from very key components to keep our military edge is going to have much more than just economic consequences, because what if piracy does start rising again? What if other countries do start trying to take territory? It won't happen right away. This will only happen if America actually cannot get its hands on refined rare earths. The only way we can tackle this rare earth crisis that China just imposed on us is if we've secretly been developing our refining capacity. But that's a real hope against hope. But if that happens, then it's the most masterful chess move ever played in the past, 150 years. Because if that actually happens, then China's supremacy in a very critical industry drops, and we get to completely eclipse them. But right now, with all of the information we have at our hands, that doesn't seem very plausible. I am the Geo Hussar. We need to make a deal with China ASAP, or come out with some new technology that completely revolutionizes the entire industry. Also, I am being heavily suppressed on this app. Please like, share, and follow, and thanks for watching.